We'll begin with some simple guided meditation. As you hear the sound of the gong disappear, you may bring your body to a resting position with the third sound of the gong. You may transcend any worries from the past, any anxieties belonging to the future, and also any fears. It's so nice that we are able to unplug ourselves from everything else that we could have done at this time of the day while the sun is out and it's so inviting outside. We go inwardly with a sense of appreciation, gratitude, with the right intention, with an awareness to what is happening now. With no preparation, our body naturally knows how to come to a meditation posture, and in moments where our body refuses to sit still, we assure that we give the attention needed to adjust by giving loving kindness to the body. From there, we can come back to being aware of whatever else is present and happening with us. As our eyes are gently closed, we may begin relaxing our eyes, the many muscles there, and gently going upward to the forehead. Release and relax any tension, any tightness anywhere. Also, scanning the crown, the head, the top of your head. And now moving downward to the back of your head. Allowing whatever your body needs to do, whether it involves scratching your throat, changing your posture, leaning forward or backward, and anything, giving all that freedom it needs. So we began with our eyes and went upward to the crown and then back of our head. Then release and relax any tension, any tightness. On your ears, although you may not necessarily feel anything there, but we set our right intention for that. Now bringing something wholesome in a way by bringing up a gentle smile to your face. With that, we release and relax the muscles there. As we know, we never rush things that needs time to open. We give this precious time for the mind to come settle in, come home and be aware of the body in its entirety. Now our scanning continues down to the neck and then the shoulders. Bring your shoulders all the way up as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you may drop your shoulders. Just do that one more time. Notice also the position of your hands, allowing them to rest in their respective positions. Now we pay attention to how we are seated, especially the back of our body, upper back, mid back, lower back. Very gently placed and positioned. And we now pay attention to the sitting bones that support our sitting. Now the root area where the pelvic positioning of our body, going further down to the knees if they need adjusting, and then the shin bones. If at any point during this meditation you need the support of a wall, support of a different position, we would choose to be less painful if it comes to be that way. Now to the ankles, the soles of our feet, to the toes, We scan the whole body as one unit, and the floor beneath, making a connection with the floor, and we get deeply rooted to the ground below. We get the support we need, the, the roots with the moisture of loving kindness, fertilizers of compassion, the light of wisdom. We become stable to move away from the wind of agitation. We go with the flow without breaking into pieces. Instead, we arrive at peace, arrive at home, where there is much more happening. Notice the incoming and outgoing breath, the rhythm of the upper body with the shoulders and hands aligned with this rhythmical pattern, and that becomes our focus. Mindfully, we breathe in. Mindfully and aware of our body, we breathe out. Our brain stops sending signals to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. Central nervous system begins to cool down, having no activity to attend to. All that burnout, fatigue begin to heal in the moment of surrendering to the tranquility and peace that arises from within. All that we chose to do was to sit with the awareness of the movements and the rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Mindfully we breathe in and breathe out. And whenever we feel distracted, we release the attention from the distraction and drop it, come back to the object of meditation. That is, being aware of in-breath and the out-breath, noticing coming and going. Effortlessly aware as this precious breath is happening now, not in the past, not in the future. Experiencing the whole body. We breathe in and breathe out. Permeating body with tranquility, we continue to breathe in and breathe out. expanding awareness, no boundaries known, as well as allowing things to rise and disappear in this awareness without holding on to anything. Calm the bodily sensations that may include even this breath, and letting it disappear and come back from our attention. Everything becomes so quiet and we immerse in solitude and quietness, with no rushing to go anywhere. Mind may wander and come back. When coming back, home is this in-breath and out-breath. The door of our heart is open for it to come back. No controller, just letting things be the entire time. Things will come and go. They come on their own, they go away on their own. This peace and tranquility cannot be stolen by anybody. Only with the arising of frustration and anger, with those poisons, it gets stained and disappears. The beauty is that we can revisit the tranquility and calm abiding at any time we try to stop changing things with I, me, and myself kind of thinking. Instead, when we surrender and let go and allow things to be, tranquility and peace will arise. We may now come out of this meditation and hear the sound of this gong and immerse, reconnect with our surroundings. How was it? Mm-hmm.
A different experience than I've had before.
Mm-hmm.
And I often feel like I have trouble just allowing my breath to be on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because I focus too much on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I feel like I'm trying to control it.
Mm-hmm.
And this time actually was the first time that I felt something different inside me, which was like a gentle pulsing,
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the heart, maybe. But it was interesting because as I felt that, it was almost like a little circular,
Mm-hmm.
like swaying almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to just focus on that feeling and then not overthink the breathing,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
But I've never felt that before.
That was my goal.
Mm.
And I was feeling exactly that. And I have done 1, 2, 3 meditations today.
Yeah.
So it was easier for me to tap into that.
Mm.
And the victory there for both of us is dropping the controller part of the breath, because it's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so naturally present and we are not allowing it to be presented itself to us, which, experiencing that is beautiful.
Yeah, I know for much.
Yeah.
Because I have always had trouble with that. Like, I think everyone says focus on the breath, but I think I focus too much on it, and then,
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Since we have some time, let's also visit the teaching. And we can maybe chat more after that. As we read, maybe we can read together and also find things that especially take our attention in the reading. So this is a story from the handbook, what we consider as the handbook of Buddhists, the Dhammapada, and it has many verses, over 301 verses, and this is verse number 221, the story of Princess Rohini. I will, we can perhaps take a look at the image in the center to begin with. You can see the Buddha and then a lady covered with clothes with her palms joined, and slightly above there is this dancer girl, and she's performing in front of someone that looks like a king, and then that same girl has, because I know the story, I will tell that she's itching her skin, out of pain, and a little above, some people are conspiring to do something like what is actually happening is the colored image shows it clearly that they are putting something to her bed out of anger and jealousy. So what we see in the very beginning under the Pali text part is the Pali verse that reads as kodhaṃ jahe vippajaheyya mānaṃ saññojanaṃ sabbamatikkameyya nāmarūpasmiṃ asajjamānaṃ akiñcanaṃ nānupatanti dukkhā. I kind of like the translation, not right underneath, but on the other side of the page, that goes as, abandon anger, give up pride fully, get rid of all clingings to that person who is not attracted to name and form and is free of appendages, no sufferings befall. And slightly above, you see on the other side the same verse, but organized in a form of a sentence. So let's go to the beginning of the story, and if you like, please join me so we can read it together. The story of Princess Rohini. While residing at the Nigrodharama monastery, the Buddha spoke this verse with reference to Princess Rohini, sister of Venerable Anuruddha. On one occasion, Venerable Anuruddha visited Kapilavatthu. While he was staying at the monastery there, all his relatives, with the exception of his sister Rohini, came to see him. On learning from them that Rohini did not come because she was suffering from leprosy. He sent for her. Covering her head in shame, Rohini came when she was sent for. Venerable Anuruddha told her to do some meritorious deed, and he suggested that she should sell some of her clothing and jewelry, and with the money raised to build a refectory for the monks. Rohini agreed to do as she was told. Venerable Anuruddha also asked his other relatives to help in the construction of the hall. Further, he told Rohini to sweep the floor and fill the water pots every day, even while the construction was still going on, for what is needed for in a toilet. She did as she was instructed, and she began to get better. When the hall was completed, the Buddha and his monks were invited for alms food. After the meal, the Buddha asked for the donor of the building an alms food, but Rohini was not there. So the donor of the building and donor of the alms food, the Buddha asked who did this, and she was not there. So the Buddha sent for her, and she came. The Buddha asked her whether she knew why she was inflicted with this dreaded disease, and she answered that she did not know. So the Buddha told her that she had the dreadful disease because of an evil deed she had done out of spite and anger in one of her past existences. As explained by the Buddha, Rohini was at one time the chief queen of the king of Varanasi. It so happened that the king had a favorite dancer, and the chief queen was very jealous of her. So the queen wanted to punish the dancer for no reason. Thus, one day she had her attendants put some itching powder in the dancer's bed and blankets. Next, they called the dancer, and as though in jest, they threw some itching powder on her. The girl itched all over and was in great pain and discomfort. Thus, itching unbearably, she ran to her room and her bed, which made her suffer even more. As a result of that evil deed, Rohini had become a leper in this existence. The Buddha then exhorted the congregation not to act foolishly in anger and not to bear any ill will towards others. At the end of the discourse, many in the congregation attained Sotapatti fruition, the first stage of enlightenment. Princess Rohini also attained Sotapatti fruition, and at the same time her skin disease disappeared, and her complexion became fair, smooth, and very attractive. So kodhaṃ, anger, jahe, abandon. If you, that part is not printed in here. Mānaṃ, pride, vippajaheyya, give up fully. So I think we get the meaning out of the story as well. And the interesting part to me is that just as she overcame, I mean, when we know what went wrong in the past, it helps us to give it up instead of holding on to it. And so most of these stories kind of bring our attention to the previous karma of a person. And now we have karma readers, but we are not sure if they are telling the truth. One time, I was the chaplain at Brigham, and there was a patient. She was a karma reader, but she was very ill, so she never did a reading. But in this story, just as she learned what her karma was, I think the urgency to get rid of that illness, coupled with that urgency, she was able to heal when her mind healed. It's important to see how our mind can trigger skin diseases. And it's unfair to say that to some people who have a real problem, not knowing what the actual cause is. We would never say that it's your karma and past karma. It's bad to use that language. It's very rude to say things like that. But Rohini fortunately had the Buddha to tell, and that apparently going through some engaging activities like building something filthy like a toilet in Indian context, and also even when the place was being constructed, allocating water and doing these little chores made her engage with an activity of cleansing, inner cleansing. And Anuruddha, her brother, is a very powerful monk. He was known for psychic abilities. He's the one who gave these instructions, but only later the Buddha got involved with the offering of the entire place and the monks being invited to the almsgiving, and almsgiving is giving of food to monks, as you know, and it's only at that moment the Buddha also asked her to come join the group and then reveal. But I think in a compassionate way of what went wrong in the past. So that's the summary of it. Anything else that you thought was interesting in the reading?
I feel like in our culture we try to identify the things from our past that trouble us.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably benefit in trying to identify it, but I wonder if it really matters what it is, like whether or not you actually identify it, or you just go through the process of understanding that something troubles you and then figuring out how to move past it.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't matter what it is, but the message matters. If we get overly involved with a past incident, especially identified with that, it's like watering dead plants. Nothing happens. It's just a waste of our energy and time. And that we become more restless in the present being. But the message of our wrongdoing, if it was intentional, is good to that it becomes known to us in a way. Oh, this is wrong, and I'm not that person anymore. And we may not also try to prove to anyone of our change, but our behavior and the energy will show that we have actually moved on and accepted it for what it is. But by doing so, our own healing has happened. Otherwise, we are these wounded someone. It's like they say, if you haven't healed from these traumas and wounds, you will be bleeding on people who did not cut you. It's a very strong statement about how we kind of bring a baggage of stuff from the past and identify with all that for no reason. We tend to think that it is mine, but only if we can just focus on our own self-improvement and take the message from that incident, then we heal. But I think it's so complex. Please, yeah.
So is it like a reflection, acknowledgement, and then healing?
Sincere acknowledgement and healing is automatic. Yeah, learning as well.
But not dwelling.
Yeah, dwelling on it is a waste of energy.
I feel like, now we have psychologists and people who try to dig into all the things from the past, and we spend so much time in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel more trauma when they relive it almost, right? But some people believe that you have to work through that before you can come out the other side. But I don't know if that's true.
Some people tend to, because what happens with the mind, even if it happened 20 years before now, whenever we revisit it, it feels like it just happened. So if people, sometimes they come to see us monks and we try not to ask them about why you felt depressed, that kind of question. Because then they go further down to trying to explain that, and they feel, I think you were saying exactly that. Sometimes, it's best to protect them from that negative energy and give them safety. And when they are stronger, they may figure out a way to handle it, but in a slightly different way from where they are now. You say the second thing about how processing it also can help, but I think it's a very delicate area, right? Just so I think different individuals will go through it very differently. It depends on this case. If it is like food related, sometimes in this case, this girl had. This is outside the story that we read. Her parents were vegetarian, and she hated that, but she developed overeating habit out of spite and also wanting to eat. So processing that kind of thing can help, relive some of the good life she could have otherwise had. That's a very different, story. But also it involves abandoning anger and frustration towards her own parents, so that she can live a healthy or somewhat wholesome and healthy life. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Yeah, it's perfect time to wrap up. Let's share merit. We will bring our palms together and think of all our departed relatives and make a wish in this way. May the suffering ones be suffering free and fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power share this merit of ours. May they long protect us, protect the Buddha's teachings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay.